the RBI Governor, joins us right here on ET Now to speak about Urjit Patel, the new man in charge who will be taking forward the monetary policy regime in India. Thank you very much, Dr. Jalan, for being with us. I must begin to talk to you about at a time when Urjit Patel is really going to be taking charge, sir. And unlike in 2013 when Raghuram Rajan came in and there was almost a trial by fire because the rupee was in a free fall, inflation was touching double digits, things are far more stable for Dr. Patel as he takes charge. Given the present macro stability, given the present macroeconomic context, what, according to you, should be Dr. Patel's priorities as he takes charge as India's 24th RBI Governor?
No, I mean, he has the experience of RBI, having worked in the RBI for quite some time, as well as of the economy, Indian economy. So, and he has worked elsewhere also. So, he is a very competent, experienced person. And I am sure that he would take account of what needs to be done. Obviously, both RBI and the government have to work together because, there is monetary policy, there is fiscal policy, there is the macroeconomic outlook, and all of us want relatively low inflation with relatively high growth. There is always a trade-off between the two, and I am sure that he will strike a balance.
It's interesting coming from a former RBI governor that it's not an easy task ever, but it's interesting coming from you that he needs to strike a balance between inflation and growth, and every RBI governor is going to find it tough to do that. Their mandate is price stability. They need to put their weight behind growth. I do want to ask you, sir, it's been a rather quiet welcome as far as equity, the bond market and the rupee is concerned. Why do you believe there's been such a quiet welcome? Are they in a wait and watch mode, waiting to see what Dr. Urjit Patel does because he has a reputation of being an inflation hawk? Or do you believe this silence is induced by the fact that by and large it ensures continuity at the RBI and its policies?
No, there is continuity and there is no problem there is no doubt about that. But so far as the markets are concerned, there are various factors which they may be taking into account. What's happening in the US, what's happening in London, what's happening here, and so on and so forth. And also how fast we have increased, not increased. So I would not put too much weight on, the statistics of the market, because this is not the only event which is taking place. Yes, RBI Governor has an important role and so on and so forth. But let us not place or tie up the markets with any actions being taken by the RBI in terms of either policy or in terms of what's happening in the macroeconomy. So what I'm trying to get to you is essentially that what is happening in the market, just to view it separately from the appointment of Dr. Patel.
Dr. Bimal Jalan, the obvious question that has to follow the appointment, absolutely, and we are keeping our fingers crossed on him doing well. But the obvious question that follows with an appointment of a new RBI governor is inflation. And the new inflation target is 4% plus minus 2%. My question to you largely is, how challenging is that number going to be? How challenging will it be for the governor and for the government to rein in inflation, given food is a big part of the CPI basket, which is now the anchor of inflation, and also the impact of the GST has still not been factored in? How challenging would that inflation range be going forward?
No, the one most important thing is the GST. Of that there is no doubt. It is an excellent reform. It will take some time to take place on the ground, but it's a very important reform. The second point I want to make to you is that I personally don't believe on a specific target in our country. You see, you have to do what needs to be done. If there is a drought, if there is a good monsoon, if the food prices are not increasing or increasing, the outlook may be different. So let us do the best we can, and hopefully the target regime that has been started now, because of the Monetary Policy Committee also, or the RBI, would be met over a period of time. But I don't have much to say on that.
The reason why I asked you that question, sir, is, no, I understand, sir. You take care of your throat there. But the reason why I asked you that question, sir, is that a lot of commentators, a lot of economists, a lot of experts out there believe that when in 2013 inflation targeting began, or when in 2013 CPI became the anchor inflation, the situation was very different. We were looking at inflation in a double digit. Today the situation is a lot better. Do you believe, and I think you alluded to that in your previous answer, do you believe there is some amount of tweaking that's required as far as the target is concerned? Maybe target core CPI, which excludes food and oil. I mean, I'm just putting a thought forward to you. Do you believe that's warranted?
No, but I mean, this is my personal view. I mean, this is not the RBI view or the government view or something, but as a citizen I can say that, 0.1% or 0.2%, etc. is not very vital. I mean, it's the range which matters, in the sense that supposing instead of 6 we went to 10, then obviously it's a matter of great concern. And but if instead of 6 we do 6.1 or 5.9 or 6.3 or 4.2, I mean, these are not vital statistics. You see what I mean? I mean, therefore, my personal view again is that these very specific digital targets I don't believe in. Low inflation, yes. Reasonable inflation, yes.
So you do believe that targeting inflation, and like in many economies, so you do believe like targeting inflation in many economies has outlived its purpose. India needs to revisit it.
No, but you see, naturally, who are the other economies we are talking about? If you're talking about the advanced economies or developed economies, their rate of inflation is what? 2%, 1%, 1.5%. They are not dependent on food. And the external circumstances, if oil prices fall, they fall. I mean, they can reduce interest rates and so on and so forth. So, I mean, I believe that we need, yes, reasonable inflation, low inflation, but our conditions are very different. And, just as in the growth rate. I mean, when we talk about growth rate, we say it is 7 to 8%, 8 to 9% we want. But whether it is 1 digit up or down, I mean, nobody really worries about that part. If it's 1% or 2% up and down, yes, we worry. So I think let's wait and watch. At the moment, I mean, I'm not uncomfortable with the inflation rate. Yeah.
We are also looking at a new regime of sorts. There is going to be a monetary policy committee, sir, and the monetary policy committee is essentially going to decide on rates, and I think it takes the pressure off one individual. I know all of you have been in the hot seat and you've been under that sort of pressure, but the reason why I'm referring to the monetary policy committee is that Urjit Patel is also going to be the first governor to oversee and to head a committee like that. Given the inflation level where it is, I know you're not overly worried about inflation right now, even though it has breached levels of 6%, which is the RBI's target. Do you believe there is scope for monetary easing in India right now, or is that elbow room substantially squeezed?
No, I mean, what I'm saying is that's a decision which the RBI has to make, whether we can do a monetary easing or not, depending on what its view is in regard to inflation vis-a-vis, say, growth rate. And at the moment, what people are saying is that we need to, bump up growth a bit more because our industrial production is very low. I mean, our growth rate is high, but industrial production is what, 2.5%, 2.6%? And there is a lot of unemployment, and we need to increase jobs and so on. But how much weight you attach to this versus CPI inflation or whatever, I mean, I won't comment because I know that RBI has to make a decision, but I only hope that everybody will take into account the various factors and the trade-offs between one or the other and take a view which is balanced, take a view which meets the needs of the economy as a whole, and I hope the RBI would do it, and let's wait and watch.
Wait and watch, and we are alluding to a more benign rate regime. But the other big challenge that Urjit Patel is going to come up with, and that's going to be very shortly, is the FCNR redemption. And there has already been some amount of anxiety in the markets about payment defaults and all of that happening there. Do you believe that's a big challenge? Is that going to be a big event, the FCNR redemption that Urjit Patel will now have to oversee?
Not at all. I mean, our foreign exchange reserves are at an all-time high. I mean, so why are you worried about it? I mean, these redemptions have to take place, yes. But I mean, the India's reputation is high among the emerging market economies. We are doing very well, and and our reserves are high. I mean, this is something which is unusual. You know, when I was in the RBI, etc., we were dealing with issues of balance of payments problems, crisis, and that reserves were not very high. So the decisions were tough decisions had to be taken. But today, what I believe is that we can handle these problems without too much of a problem, and surely RBI would do so.
The other big legacy that Urjit Patel is going to take on from Raghuram Rajan is the war against NPAs. In some sense, Dr. Rajan did show the banks the holes that existed in their balance sheet and asked them to do the cleanup drive. Do you believe Urjit Patel should continue with the same gusto, the same conviction, or does he need to tone down things a little bit as far as the NPA cleanup in the banking sector is concerned?
No, but you tone down, tone up. I mean, I don't believe in that part. What I believe is that if you have NPAs which have increased over a period of time, say last 2 years or 3 years, and we have started taking the measures now, then you have to allow it for some time if you want the economy to work properly to take place. NPAs must be reduced, yes. But you don't need a drastic action. You need action which is consistent with other goals of the economy. But yes, NPAs can be reduced. But whether they can be reduced over 3 months or 6 months or 1 year, we should be patient and try and get it done. The direction is more important than the magnitude in a particular period of time. You see what I mean?
Are you here suggesting that maybe that March 2017 deadline can be, can be postponed a little? Maybe that March 2017 deadline can be June 2017. Is that what's warranted?
No, I don't believe in deadlines anyway. You know, so what I'm saying is, let us start in the process. Let us try and see that we can reduce the NPAs over a period of time. Let's say quarterly. We want to reduce NPAs, and if in the next quarter you are able to reduce NPAs by say 0.5%, let us, I mean these are just illustrative examples, by 0.5%, and in the subsequent quarter we reduce it by another 0.5 or 0.6 or 0.7, I mean that will help. So it is the direction which is more important in the digital economy, I mean, then a particular figure of within a short term of second digit figure or 1 digit figure. You see what I mean?
I do. Dr. Jalan, I'm going to take one last question before I let you go.
Okay.
Before I let you go, and that question has to do with the profile of the RBI governor. There have been low-profile RBI governors, there have been high-profile RBI governors. As someone who's been in the hot seat, I must ask you, what works best at RBI? A low-profile RBI governor, someone who keeps his head down and works, or somebody who's high-profile, states his views, takes up the cajoles with New Delhi? What really works for the RBI, and what works for its autonomy more? A low-profile governor or a high-profile governor?
No, but high profile, low profile, I don't want to define all those figures. What works for the country is essentially a joint view of what needs to be done between the government and the Reserve Bank of India and other regulatory authorities. I mean, so what I'm saying at the moment is that you have to analyze the problems of the economy, be in consultation with the government, and take necessary action which is in consonance with what is acceptable and doable. So far as the public policy is also concerned. So I am saying that there are different, different parts of it. I mean, this is in any situation, and the economy is a very important issue. But even if you are talking in the media and you are using that camera, then you have to, yes, have the right tone, right thing, right lights, and so on and so forth. But there has to be a choice, has to be made. So what I am saying essentially is that this problem can be handled, and we are in a strong position. There are certain issues which have been there for some time, and that may require more time than just a very abrupt change in the NPA situation, but we should move in the right direction, and we are doing so just now. Okay.
All right, and on that very same note, thank you very much for joining us right here on ET Now, Dr. Bimal Jalan, India's 20th governor. with his word of wisdom as far as the 24th RBI Governor Urjit Patel is concerned, the man who is going to take charge early next month. Thank you very much, Dr. Jalan,
It's a
for being with
pleasure.
us.
It's a pleasure talking to you.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.